from Whelen, and we invite Scott Potter to speak.
I'm going to go in a little bit different direction. A lot of you are familiar with Whelen Engineering, I'm sure. Established in 1952, two manufacturing facilities right here in New England, one in Chester, Connecticut, the other in Charlestown, New Hampshire. Probably 1,600 or so New England employees within Whelen Engineering. In addition to that, there are 203 outside field representatives, independent manufacturers, reps like myself. I cover New England. What we're going to show you, this is at one of our manufacturing facilities up in New Hampshire. PC board manufacturing on the top left. We actually manufacture our own printed circuit boards. Not very many companies do that here in the States. I don't think anybody's doing it in the States, actually. What I'm going to show you is what we're doing when it comes to warning light technology, but on the law enforcement side, okay, because it's going to relate. And over the last 10 years or so, last 8 years or so, we've been working on and developing better ways to prevent crashes like this. And it involves vehicles parked on the side of the interstate. The next slide, this was a situation in Indianapolis where, as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen there, you got some sort of a highway service vehicle, perhaps a rescue truck or ambulance in the center, and then a police vehicle at the end there blocking the lane. Everybody's using warning lights like they should be, and you see all this bright light and things like that. But what we're putting out there on the law enforcement side is when people think about emergency vehicle safety, pretty much talking about intersections, right? Because that's been the focus over the years, is coming through an intersection and trying to call for the right of way. There's been a lot of different technology that helps prevent that and or reduce intersection crashes. Not only that, but there's protocols and things that can be put in place at the department level that can reduce intersection crashes. I mean, simple things like requiring your guys to come to a complete stop at a red light and ensuring that the intersection is clear before proceeding through it. When we talk about vehicles that are stopped on the interstate, which everybody in this room probably has vehicles that stop on the interstate, there's not really much you can do to put into place from a protocol standpoint to keep people from crashing into your vehicles, particularly impaired drivers. So when I play this now, watch what happens. Right? There's nothing that officer at that last vehicle could have done to prevent that. And it turns out that driver was impaired, staring at the bright police lights, and just crashed right into it. And we start looking into this and trying to figure out why these things happen. This is a pretty common situation here. Low ambient light conditions at nighttime and very bright, fast, intense, active warning lights. We always thought in the past, the more lights you have, the better off you're going to be, the safer your vehicle is going to be. Well, we're looking at that very differently now. Back in 2010, the Massachusetts State Police contacted Whelen Engineering and said, look, we've got probably 2 months worth of rear-end collisions on our highways. In 2010, one of them resulted in a fatality to a trooper in Massachusetts. Had about 10 crashes in 2 months, and every single situation, the driver that hit the police car was impaired. The state police said to Whelen, we know we have enough lights on the back of our car. We're pretty sure we do. We just don't know why we keep getting hit. So together, we embark on this 9-month-long study to try to help them figure this out. And at the end of the day, what resulted was we realized quickly that the emergency warning light that's effective and proper in the middle of the afternoon going through an intersection is not the same warning lights that you want when you're parked on the side of the highway at night. And I'll show you some examples of this. This would be just a traditional sort of a traffic stop. And all this crazy light flashing. I'm going to show you this view from the approaching motors. How many people have driven past this scene? And you're going past it like this because you can't see. Never mind the people standing in the roadway that are attending to whatever the incident is. Okay. During this testing with Massachusetts State Police, they did find that they looked at other testing that showed that people tend to stare at bright, dazzling lights. There's other studies in addition to that that say that impaired or slightly impaired drivers tend to drive where they're looking. So you put the two together, and you've got drunk drivers driving into the back of emergency vehicles, okay, because of bright, dazzling lights. And their thought was, well, we need a proper response sort of flash pattern and intensity, and we need a proper flash pattern and intensity when this vehicle is stopped at night. And this is the result. Same car, same traffic stop, puts the vehicle in park, and all of a sudden things calm down. We switch to a sort of an in and out flash rate, very low intensity, some glow, and you'll get the perspective from the approaching motorist. This is still a Class 1 certified warning light system, so we don't drop below any intensities that are required by SAE. Massachusetts State Police, in addition to Rhode Island and Connecticut and New Hampshire and Vermont and many others throughout the country, I can only speak for New England because that's where I am, but have switched to this sort of intelligent control and using vehicle signals to help manipulate the warning light system. Okay, so the system knows whether you're in park or you're in drive. It knows whether it's daytime or nighttime. There's other things that we help on the law enforcement side, but it's not really related here. Basically, in Massachusetts, they have greatly reduced the number of rear-end collisions to trooper vehicles with this technology. It's simple before and after photo. So why does this apply here? Talking about police car stuff. Because we see the same situations, right? We need bright, very intense warning lights on summer days like today when you're parked out on the interstate. But in the middle of the night or in low light conditions, we don't, and we shouldn't have them. And for years, we've used proper synchronization of warning lights to kind of help outline the outside of the vehicle. You'll notice on all of our DOT systems, out of the box, we don't alternate fixtures left and right. We do it top to bottom, and there's a reason for that. Because when you position that vehicle as an approaching motorist sees that vehicle in the distance, during inclement weather and fog and things like that, it's much easier to tell where that vehicle is positioned in the roadway when you've got an outline of the vehicle, and that's why we flash them that way. But we've never really looked at intensity of the warning lights as a factor. And what we've found is over the last, 5, 6, 7 years, warning lights from LED technology has grown tremendously. We're getting output out of tiny little fixtures today that we wouldn't have dreamed of 5, 6, 7 years ago. And that just keeps getting better and better and better. But we've got to look at it from the other perspective. Are we causing any issues there? What Whelen has done is they've created the Smart Logic flasher for the DOT systems. What this flasher does is has logic built into it that you can program where you can take a park signal and you can take a ambient light sensor as an option, and you can make these automatic adjustments with no control of the driver whatsoever. He just gets in the thing and goes. As soon as he pulls the brake, if it's nighttime, we can make warning lights dim down to an appropriate level so people aren't driving past your service vehicles like this. Try our best to keep impaired drivers from driving into the back of the vehicles. Think about other things, though, that you can use vehicle signals for. For instance, if you're running any other color light, let's say blue light or green light in a plow down position, right? Well, this would be able to do that for you automatically. Plow blade is down, send that signal into the flasher, and we turn on a different color light. Plow blade comes up. If you're doing a guardrail project, we take the color out and make it just amber. Or brake lights. We just started in Connecticut here incorporating the brake light signal into the warning light functionality. So when the brakes are applied, we turn off the rear-facing warning lights at the back of the truck, but only for a brief couple of seconds. And we do that so that the brake lights can be much more visible now. Same with the turn signals. We don't hold the warning lights off, though. We just put them on a timer, because if you're doing a slow crawl down the interstate for line painting or something like that, and you're holding your foot on the brake, well, we don't want those warning lights to be out all the time. We just want them to be out for a couple of seconds when they're applied. And same with turn signals. When you apply the turn signal, let's turn out the warning lights. I can tell you a lot more about the Smart Logic flasher at our booth and how it works. If anybody's going to be coming to Whelen Engineering in Chester tomorrow night, we're going to have a couple of vehicles on display that are going to show you sort of a before and a corrected version, similar to the videos that you saw on the law enforcement side. And if you're specifying vehicles and you want this technology, make sure you specify that smart logic flasher into your DOT system. Anybody have any comments or questions, feel free to see us at the booth, because I think I'm probably out of time. My name is Scott, and I look forward to talking to you.
The preceding was produced by the National Center for Pavement Preservation. More information can be found on the web at pavementpreservation.org. Additional support provided by Michigan State University.